While political cartoons aren't as popular as they used to be, they are a vital part of America's history.
One university in our region is doing what it can to get people to understand the importance of them and make them more accessible as well.
And new this morning, Aaron Fields joins us to tell us more about the unique position Dickinson State University has created to do just that. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Tim and Alicia. The Theodore Roosevelt Center at DSU was built to study and analyze the life and legacy of our 26th president. And Theodore Roosevelt spent a lot of his time in the Badlands of North Dakota, and some would say it was like his second home. That's why the university dedicated the center to him and created a digital library that has things like letters, diaries, presidential papers, and photographs throughout Roosevelt's life. The university recently hired a cartoon archivist who will add to Roosevelt's legacy, and he says it's a position you can't find anywhere else.
In 2005, the university was continuing to look at how could we understand more deeply the significance of that Theodore Roosevelt's time had here.
In the course of doing that, the university had well-known humanities scholar Clay Jenkinson come in and help develop what would be equivalent to a presidential library, but in the digital realm. Theodore Roosevelt has no presidential library, and his papers and history are scattered all over the nation.
So instead of having to go to Boston and spend 2 or 3 days at Harvard and the Massachusetts Historical Society, or 2 or 3 weeks in some cases, depending on your research, and then to go to California to the Huntington Library, and then to go to Chicago to the Newberry Library.
To continue to make this the most informative database, the university hired political archivist Rick Marshall. Political cartooning was in its heyday during the Roosevelt era, and Roosevelt was one of the most well-known presidents for political cartooning. And these cartoons tell a bigger story than you might think.
They were a form of political communication that had a lot to do with the ability of the mass media to reach to people, to resist corruption, bad government, and individuals who were respecting the democratic process.
The political cartoon can tell you so much more legitimately than a chart or a graph or a PhD thesis about what made people tick and why the issues were so important.
Marshall, who is said to be America's foremost authority on pop culture, has edited for Marvel Comics, wrote for Disney, and has even published over 70 books, including Bully, The Life and Times of Theodore Roosevelt. That includes over 250 vintage political cartoons of the president.
Like I say, the sky's almost the limit, because there might be cartoons about issues from Roosevelt's presidency or his earlier jobs or post-presidency that might not have him as a figure, but might explain a whole lot about his life, his effect, his influence. And no other college, institution, library is making a specialty of this.
So now, Tim and Alicia, you can go and search things about Roosevelt, and in a split second, you can have all that information from other institutions and materials. So, and this all came from a university in North Dakota, so I think that's pretty awesome.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Very cool, yeah. And you know, North Dakota and Teddy Roosevelt are so intertwined in such an interesting way. So that's very cool.
Yes, history buffs will have it right at their fingertips.
Yeah,
and really. Rick Marshall is a very cool guy too. So it's a nice addition for DSU to have.
Perfect position. All right, thanks, Aaron.